So first and foremost, what does it mean to fulfill? Well, it means to bring to completion or reality, achieve or realize something desired, promised, or predicted. Now, the key words for us in this definition are desires, promises, and predictions. And we'll discuss these in length in this module. Starting off with desires. One of the most high leverage activities you can commit to as a community builder is to get your members to share their desires. These are their needs, their goals, their wants, their ambitions, etc. And what do you ask them specifically? Now, I don't want to put creative constraints on you by giving you specific copy and paste questions. So instead, I've decided to share with you a principle that will help you come up with all the questions that you need in this regard. Because think of it this way. What do your members want to run towards? They're somewhere right now, and there is a target in the future that they want to run towards. There's a goal that they want to achieve. Whatever those are, you must help your members run towards those things being their desires, their goals, outcomes, wishes, dreams, you name it. And as a bonus, you can ask your members what they don't desire. What are your members running away from? Whatever those are, help your members run away from those things, being their fears, uncertainties, aversions, nightmares, etc. And so here's a little graphic that helps illustrate the whole situation very simply. So here's your member in the middle. This is you. You're assisting them, pushing them forwards, pointing in the right direction. They're running away from their problem, and they're running towards their solution. Now, how do you ask your members to share these details with you? Well, you can start by asking them a question in a post, which is a one-to-many format, and it's efficient to send out, but easy to ignore. One-to-many format would be post in your community. It could also be a poll in your community. But more importantly, for smaller communities, I would recommend that you reach out to your members in their DMs, which is a one-on-one format. Although it's time-consuming to reach out individually to all your members, it's more difficult for them to ignore, and they're far more likely to give you some answers. And again, in my experience, for smaller communities, when you're first getting started, communicating in DMs is your best bet for getting the most amount of answers from your members. Therefore, if you want a larger data set to work with and you're just getting started, ask your members questions in their DMs. Plus, your members are far more likely to share more personal answers in a private one-on-one context than under the comment section of a public post. Not only that, but you can also make use of surveys, but that's beyond the scope of this module, and we'll actually be discussing that in the 5th module of this section. Next up, promises. Promise your members what they desire. This is the next step. Once you know what they desire, promise them what they desire. Now, here's a caveat. Obviously, you don't make promises that you can't keep, okay? Teach what you can and don't get hung up on what currently lies outside of your current abilities. If you don't know what promises to make to your members, simply lean into your strengths to figure out what kinds of promises you're in a position to actually fulfill. And as you can tell, there's this basic Venn diagram here that you can look at, and it's very simple to understand, obviously. So you have your strengths, which is basically your skill set. Then you have your members' common problems that they want solved. And then the intersection between these two factors create your offer, create the promise that you can actually fulfill for your members. And so that's important to consider. For example, I've helped build and manage successful communities where members are fulfilled and having a good time. As such, I'm pretty confident that I can share some advice to help make your community better. So you need to figure out what you're in a good position to teach. And it should be noted too that you don't have to promise the world to your members, okay? In all likelihood, your members are attracted to your space because they have one problem of theirs that they believe your community can help them overcome. Therefore, start by promising to help your members with at least one problem of theirs that they share in common and that also leans into your strengths at the same time. Once you've identified these things, you're in a great position to start serving your members to the best of your abilities. Next up, we have predictions. Now, based on your promises or your promise, which is basically your offer, your members will begin to predict what your community can do for them. And they're basically setting expectations. And those expectations must align as much as possible with what you've promised them in your offer. For example, if you have a fitness community that claims to have a protocol that makes members lose 10 pounds of weight in 1 month, then new members will expect that if they adhere to this protocol, your community will help them lose 10 pounds in 1 month. Now, if this happens and they realize this goal, they've just had a fulfilling community experience because the expectations that you set for them were met in the promised window of time. However, if this doesn't happen and they actually put in the work, of course, they've just had an unfulfilling community experience because the expectations that you set for them weren't met in the promised window of time. So Be very calculated in the promises that you make because they set expectations that your members will adopt. Therefore, to fulfill your members, make them achieve something desired, promised, or predicted. Or in other words, align your community's purpose with fulfilling your members' core desires. Again, if you're starting a Skool, I put my affiliate link in the pinned comment as well as the description of this video. If you use it, I'll send you my launch checklist and you'll be able to book a free setup consult with me.